Good morning, everybody, as we go to the Chitas of today. Today is Friday, the sixth reading in the portion of Bahar B'Chukoisai, as we come to the end this week, Chazak, of the book of Leviticus. We are holding on chapter 27, verse number 1. God spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the Jewish people, and tell them, Ish kiyafli neder. When a person articulates a vow, and he says, I'm giving to the Beis Hamikdash according to endowment, nefashis, I'm giving the value of a person to God. Now she says, he states explicitly with his mouth. When you make a neder, you have to say it with your mouth. And he says, Litin Erek Nafsh, to give the assessment of his soul, saying, I take upon myself to give the prescribed assessment of something that is something being vital, an organ, a living person. He says, not he's giving his hand, but he's giving of himself in essence. So this is a Gzeres HaKosov, the value of a person to the Beis Hamikdash. It's not the value of a person which sold on the market. Somebody hurts somebody else. This is the concept of when a person gives his value to the Beis Hamikdash. So here the Torah tells us that a male, from the age of 20 and 60, the endowment will be 50 shekel. 50 shekel b'shekel. So if he says, I'm giving my value to the Beis Hamikdash, you have to give 50 shekel. Now she says erech, the word erech is does not mean monetary value, but regardless of whatever a person would fetch a higher or lower price, because really 20-year-old, the 60-year-old shouldn't have the same value. The younger 20-year-old, the 60-year-old is older. But this over here is the endowment fixed for him in the passage dependent solely on his age. So this is a pasuk Gzeres HaKosov that the Torah puts a 20-year-old and a 60-year-old in the value to the Beis Hamikdash in the same value of 50 shekel. Erkecha again is similar to the word erech. It's a double chaf at the end of the word erkecha. I do not know from which grammatical form is derived. If she's a woman, then her value is 30 shekel to the Beis Hamikdash. That's from the age of 5 to the age of 20. A boy is 20 shekels, so from 5 to 20, it's 20 shekel. A shekel, and to a female, it's 10 shekel. This does not mean that one who vows is a minor. For the words of a minor has no effect. So if a 6-year-old says, I give the value, it doesn't mean anything. Rather, it refers to an adult who says, I take upon myself to give an endowment of this minor. A father says, I'm going to give the value of my 6-year-old child to the Beis Hamikdash. So he has to give. If it's a male, he has to give 20 shekel. If it's a female, he has to give 10 shekel. And then a child from 1 month to 5-year-old. Then the child is 5 shekel. Into a female is 3 shekel. What happens from the age of 60 and above? If he's a male, if he's a male, he's worth 15 shekel to the Beis Hamikdash. The keva, if she's a woman, it's 10 shekel. So now Rashi says, you see, the older you get, the female becomes more valuable than the male. When she reaches the old age, the woman's stature approaches than a man. Therefore, a man ages, he depreciates more than she does, because the worth less than a third of his previous endowment, where a woman only depreciates a third of her previous endowment. As people say, an old man in the house is broken. it is that he's not productive in the house. An old woman in the house is a treasure in the house and a good omen, providing blessing to the house. So now she's knocking the men. Verse number 8. If the pledger is too poor to pay his endowment, so then he comes to the Kohen, says, I gave a value of myself to the Beis Hamikdash, and now if I'm under 60, I owe 50 shekel, but I don't have 50 shekel. So you can't afford it. So he comes with a Kohen. The Kohen says, what can you afford? And according to what the Kohen evaluates, he can afford. The Kohen will make it whatever he thinks, give 20 shekel. Ashi says he can't afford to give this endowment. He must present, meaning the person whose endowment is being pledged before the priest. And the Kohen must evaluate according to how much the one who pledged the endowment can afford. And according to how much the pledger can afford, the priest must assess, Rashi says, the pledger's means according to what he possesses, leaving him enough money to live, a bed, a pillow, a bank, the tools of his trade. If he's a donkey driver, he leaves his donkey, he can't take away everything from him. The Beis Hamikdash should not take away from him, even though he made the pledge. The Beis Hamikdash should have rachmanos in him, make sure that they don't take away and make him destitute. Verse number 9. If a person pledges a part of an animal, we're talking about an animal whose type is fit to be brought to the God. Any part that he pledged to the Beis Hamikdash becomes holy. What does that mean? Rashi says, if he says the leg of this animal will be as an ascent offering, his words are binding. The animal is sold to those who need to bring an ascent offering, and the proceeds of that sale have to be sanctified except for the value, are not sanctified except for the value of that particular limb, which should be given to the temple. Verse number 10. You must not exchange or substitute it. Whether it's good and bad, or bad and good. If you do substitute one animal with another animal, then if you think you can substitute it, both animals become holy. So now it says you're not allowed to change an unblemished and a blemished one. He may certainly not exchange a good animal and a bad animal. It's not going to help you because you're going to both become holy. Verse number 11. If he defiled, meaning a blemished animal, which by virtue of its blemish not be brought as an offering for God, he presents the animal before the priest. We're talking about, Rashi says, we're speaking about a blemished animal. It's considered defiled, meaning it's not fit to the sacrifice. The Torah is teaching you that an unblemished, consecrated animal cannot lose their consecrated status by redeeming them unless they develop a blemish. And that's the only way that they can be redeemed. An animal that I consecrated to the temple needs to be brought to the temple. The problem is, if it becomes a blemish in the animal, now there's a way of sell the animal for something else, and then, or you have to, as the Torah will tell you, some animals need to be let. Depends what the animal was consecrated for, what kind of carbon was consecrated for. The Kohen must evaluate it, deciding whether it's good or bad. According to the evaluation of the priest, so it's be in its redemption value. According to the valuation of the priest, so it be any other person who wishes to buy it for the temple treasure apart from its original owner. And if the original owner redeems it, he's punished. But here the Torah gives him a penalty. He must add a fifth of its value. Now she says Scripture is more stringent with the owner, requiring to add a fifth of its value. The same applies to one who consecrated his house, to the one who consecrated his field, And to the redemption of the second tithe, the owner must add a fifth, but not any other person. The owner, if he sold it and the guy himself redeemed, the other guy who bought it redeems it, he doesn't have to add a fifth. But the owner himself, he needs to add a fifth. Verse number 14. If a man consecrates his home, Kodesh Hashem, he makes it holy to God. He says, my home, I'll give it to the Beis HaMikdash. Again, the Kohen evaluates how much his home is value. Whatever the Kohen tells is the value of the house. Ken Yakum, that's the evaluation. And now it's sold, or the guy gives the person who gave it, consecrated, he gives to the Beis HaMikdash the value, and the home is back his. And if the person himself that consecrated a home comes to redeem it, but he has to again add a fifth. Another person comes and redeems the house, because what does the Beis HaMikdash need the guy's house? So a person consecrates his house, he dedicates his house to the Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash doesn't need the house. The Beis HaMikdash sells the house. The money goes to the Beis HaMikdash. The house, whoever buys it, becomes non-consecrated home. But if the guy himself comes and says, listen, I want my house back, so therefore I'll pay for the house. So there's a penalty the Torah gives him, and now he has to add, if the Kohen says it's worth $100,000, he now has to add a chamish, he has to add a fifth. He has to give now $125,000, $120,000. And then the home becomes his. And that completes the Chumash for today. We now go to the Tanya of the day, which the Alter Rebbe, we're going to end the 51st chapter of Tanya. Alter Rebbe is explaining the concept of Dira B'Tachtonim, the aspect of the Shechina, the presence of the Shechina, where God is revealed. God is everywhere. It's Kvoidei. The Eibishter fills the entire world. The question is God revealed in the world? And that's what we're talking about. Revelation of godliness in the world. The way God exists within me in the world. God is within me. The question is the way He exists within me. How I reveal godliness in the world. And so too similarly, the Alter Rebbe gave the analogy of the body. From my body I can see God, because my body also has a soul that enlivens the body. And then just like in the body, the soul comes into the entire body, but then the soul gives the body, each and every organ, its own vitality. So the eye can see and the ear can hear and etc. But where does it all come from? It comes from the brain. Where is the first revelation of the soul? In the body. The soul's in the body, whether it's revealed or not. The soul's in the body. And it's equally that level, the soul, Yechidah Shebenefesh. The oneness of the soul is in the body totally from head to foot. Where is the soul revealed? Its first revelation of the body is in the brain. From the brain, it gives out to the rest of the body. And that's the analogy. We're not saying that God is exactly like the soul in the body. It's an analogy. That's why it's an analogy. It's a mashal. And so similarly in a manner, derech mashal, figurative. It's mashal. Mashal is a figurative speaking. The blessed light of God, the infinite light of God, fills all the worlds as to animate them. And there is a marked similar between the soul pervading the body and the inside permeating all worlds. Just as an analogy, the soul is found within and suffuses the entire body. In parallel manner, God fills the entire world. Ein oid movade, that's the expression of Moshe Rabbeinu. Ein oid, the truth is, there's nothing but God. He fills the entire world. There's no empty space of godliness in this world. God fills this entire world. And in this world, in this entire world, yes, biruyim lane kates. There's an unlimited amount of creations. Ribuy revavis. Myriads upon myriads of various grades of angels and souls. Malachim, and forget about the world, this world. The upper worlds, there's billions of angels, souls, etc., etc. V'chein ribu elimis, there's abundance of worlds. Enkates. Gavoya al gavoya. There's abundance of worlds. So in the realm of the spirit, separate and distinct entities are a result of there being different spiritual grades and levels. It's like in Gan Eden. It says Moshe Rabbeinu goes up to Gan Eden. Every day he goes higher and higher in Gan Eden. So he's like millions of levels in Gan Eden itself. Thus, what is the meaning? What are the meaning levels? It means spiritual levels. This greater Rebbe Moshe Rabbeinu continues to develop in spirituality every single day. Thus, a multitude of worlds implies a multitude of varying levels of spirituality. Hence, the sheer numerous of worlds, so to say, and created beings, each differ from other in their spiritual gradation. Early on, when explaining this in his analogy, the Alter Rebbe pointed out, despite the vast differences that exist between one bodily organ and the other, the soul's essence is equal, found in all of them, right? That's where we started, even though there are different levels, but the soul is equally in all of them. The essence of the soul is found equally in all levels. He now goes on to explain that in the analogy of Ein Sof as well, the essence of Ein Sof, this is an important concept. Oid Ein Sof, the essence of God is right here. Ani Hashem lo shanisi. God does not change. The world's symptom, contraction, there's no hiddenness by God. The hiddenness and the reveal by God is the same thing. The essence of the Ein and Sof is found in hidden manners equally in all worlds. If you're going to say God himself changes within where he's hidden and where he's unhidden, then you don't know what God is. Now the core and the essence of the blessed Ein and Sof is the same. Shavel bel yonim betachtonim. That's mentioned in the analogy of the soul. The soul is found in the entire body, equally. As the way the soul comes down differently in the eye and in the ear. Because the Yechidah Shebenefesh, the oneness of the soul, the infinite aspect of the soul, the entire body is equal from the ear to the nose to the foot to the heart to the brain. It's all equal. We're in the Alter Rebbe explained that the soul core in essence is not divisible. And thus, when you say the soul is not divisible, you can't separate, means that's also giving a limitation. The meaning of that is that it is divisible and it's not divisible. It's both the same. That's really the meaning. The meaning is that both the physical and the spiritual and the infinite and the finite is all the same. So you can't give it when you say you can't give it a definition, it means it is a definition and it's not a definition. At the same time. So the Eibishter fills the world and it's above the world at the same time. And that's the meaning of Ein Sof. Unlimited. That's really the meaning of Ein Sof. Unlimited. And you can't say God is above and not below. That's a limit. You can't say God is infinite and not finite. That's a limit. Unlimited means that the God is finite and infinite the same way. To the Eibush, the infinite and the finite are equal. That's unlimited. That's why giving God even an infinite name, that he's infinite, is limiting him, that he's not finite. And that's what the world does. That we say the Eibush is infinite, he's not finite. That's limiting God. You can't give a limit to God. God is unlimited. He is finite as he's infinite. So the essence is indivisible, and thus it cannot be said that he's found in the brain to a greater extent than found in the feet. Because by God, there's no difference. As in the neshama, the essence of the soul, there's no difference in the brain and the foot. Even though way the neshama comes in the brain is different than when it comes in the foot. The revelation of the neshama in the brain is different the way it comes in the foot. As it brought on the Zoya, the Iu stima the Kostimoin. He's the hidden from all hidden. What does that mean? Meaning is that what we call hidden, to the Eibush is hidden. It's hidden of all hidden. We can't comprehend even God's infinity. It means that even in the higher hidden worlds, he is hidden and concealed within them, just as he's hidden and concealed in the lower worlds. To the Eibush, to God, Atzilus, when we talk about the world of emanation and the world of creation are the same. To us, there's a greater revelation in the world of emanation to the world of creation. But the Eibush, the world of creation and the world of emanation, God is hidden from both of them. So that's why we say in our davening every day that the highest angels of what Kabbalah calls the highest angels, what do they say? Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh is above all that. God is not higher or lower. That we say higher words or lower words, that's the way we as humans express something is higher and something is lower. To call God higher is to diminish God, that he's not lower. God is not higher, not lower. God is both higher and lower. And the truth is, that's why a human being can't comprehend it. Truth to the essence of godliness, because it's something that's above his understanding. Ki les machshava, that's what the prophet says. No thought at all. No thought at all. Not only in this world can they understand him, no thought at all can comprehend godliness. No thought. Because God is equal, concealed from all worlds. No distinction can be made between higher and lower. He defines the comprehension of the higher worlds to the same degree as it cannot be apprehended in the lower worlds. And that's why, again, the Alter Rebbe says, that's why they established the brachas before the Shema. That talks about the greatest angels in the most highest, loftiest world. Also say, Kadosh, 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 that the Eibush is far beyond them. Because by God is no lower. And what do they ask? Where you find God, God says in this world. Because you're right. God is found in the upper worlds and lower worlds. God is equal in the upper worlds and the lower worlds. So as he's found with regard where God can be found, just like God can be found in the upper worlds. So too, Ein Sof, the infinite aspect of God is found in this world. The only difference is, where do we start giving the upper worlds and the lower worlds? Why do we make distinctions between the upper and the lower? By God, there's no upper and lower. But there is a distinction. This is regarding to the flow vitality, which the Ein Sof Baruch Hu causes the flow and ultimate in a manner of revelation out of concealment, like the human body. The energy of life is in the brain greater than any other part of the body, because it's revealed in a greater way in the brain than any other part of the body. Alter Rebbe will soon conclude that this revelation is intended for the purpose of vitalizing the world and their inhabitants, for the vitality of all the worlds and creatures derived from the revelation of godness within them. Thus, the difference between the higher and lower worlds lies in the varying degrees of divine revelation within them. That's how we explain the four worlds: Atzilus, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya. Even in the spiritual worlds, you have Atzilus, greater revelation, greater unity. Bria is a tzimtzum. We have a diminishing of revelation, diminishing of unity. Now we have the formation of different entities, and then you come down to Yetzirah, which is even a greater level of concealment, lesser revelation, more vessels, until you have the world of Asiya, until we come down in this physical world, which is called Alma de Pruda, a world of separation. And there we see in the world, we're living in a world of separation, differences, clashes of entities. We have separation in the greatest level of in this world, because you have less revelation. The God to revelation out of concealment, Alter Rebbe. So that's why the greatest revelation is in this world, because this is the lowest world of separation, and where there's great separation, there's going to be great revelation. The Rebbe now states parenthetically that this manner of revelation is one of the reasons why the godly vitality is found within the world. World is called light, Oir. Oir. Oir Ein Sof. That's what we call it, Oir Ein Sof. The light of the infinite, the light of infinity. Which is one of the reasons why the influence and the flow of this vitality is figuratively called Oir, light. It's a very important word in Kabbalah, light. Siddur Oir. Kabbalistic literature, the flow and vitality of God is termed light, rather than Shefa. We find two different words, Shefa and Oir. Shefa means a flux, as it's termed in Jewish philosophy. In Chekira, it's called Shefa. In Chassidus, it's called Oir. Light signifies revelation out of concealment. Previously, the light had been concealed within the luminary, the source of the light, and subsequently it is drawn forth from its source and is revealed as light. Thus, in the case of revelation out of concealment, only a minute illumination of the source is drawn down into revealed state. Not so with the Shefa, which is the actual flux, a stream. Shefa is like a water. That's why Torah has two expressions to Torah. Torah Oir, Ein Mayim Ela Torah. Torah has these two concepts. It's a concept of Oir, light, and Torah is compared to Mayim. Mayim is a shefa, a flow of water, and stream of the source that flows down and revealed. So that's why, in a way, Torah is compared to Mayim, because Mayim, the Gemara says, why is Torah compared to water? Because just like water comes from above to below, so too the Torah comes from above to below. It's a shefa. It's a concept of a beautiful stream of water that comes from a very high place to a very low place. Hence the phrase shifas mayim, the flow of water, the same water, because the beauty of Torah is that the same water that isn't below comes to below, came from above. It's not a different water. Water that comes from above comes to below. It's the same water. It doesn't change. The water doesn't change. So to the Torah is a flow of water comes from below, above, as it is above, it comes to below. So, but then the Torah is compared to Oir. Oir HaTorah, the light of Torah. Because it's a Hamshacha, It's a revelation. It's a revelation. Water is a gift, so to say. As we know, we pray for water. But Torah is a revelation. And that's the beauty of Torah. That's not only a gift that we receive from heaven, but Torah actually comes to reveal something within us. And the question is, how much light do you want to bring within your life? How much do you want to reveal? How much are you capable of revealing? Because the above mentioned revelation, out of concealment, the light serves as a purpose, and that's why Chassidus expresses Torah as Or. Thereby animate. How much will the Torah animate me? Truth is, what animates me? That's the question. What gives me life? Torah says, the Torah should be my life. The Torah should be the purpose of my life, the energy, the excitement of my life. But that's up to me. How much do I want to be vitalized to the Torah? And that's why there's upper and lower. There's higher worlds that receive a greater energy of life from godliness, and worlds that receive a lower energy of life. So too within the world itself. Tzaddikim receive a greater energy of life. And then we have Beinanim, middle people, that the question is how much energy they want in life. And then you have Rishoyim, God forbid, who are low voltage, so to say. Every Jew has a neshama and has a pintalayid spark of Judaism. For the higher, so that's a difference. Even the higher world, this light and vitality is not manifestly revealed. It's all to the capacity of worlds. And all creatures of every world receive the revealed aspect of the vitality of a bite, each according to its capacity and its nature. So thus as the analogy, each body organ receives vitality from the brain according to its character and nature. So too the Alter Rebbe states, the analogy to each creature receives its vitality according to its capacity and nature. The Rebbe notes, this means that each being receives vitality according to its capacity to have the life force and vitality revealed within it, and according to the manner in which the vitality is to be revealed, whether as a revelation of intellect, a comprehension, or in a motive manner. The first question is, and that's where every person is different. Some people are more intellectual, some people are more emotional, some people are more active. Some people have equal of both. Every person is different. And every person needs to take his talent, his capability, and bring out his neshama into that. Just like the neshama comes into the ear, comes into the eye, comes into the mouth differently, so too. Every neshama comes into godliness, needs to be revealed in our vessels, each according to our capacity. But this is not to say that the nature conceals the revelation. Rather, it imbues and illuminates it. That's the beauty. It imbues and illuminates it. The Eibishter gave us the capability that every, just like the eye is, the sight is within the eye is within the neshama, but where does it ultimately be? It's imbued in the eye, ultimately in this vessel. Which is nature and form of the particular flow which the blessed and safe imbues and illuminates it. In that mitzvah we do. But the lower worlds, creatures, even the spiritual ones, do not receive divine life force in such a revealed form as it received on a high in the higher as it receives in the higher worlds. But by only the means of many garments, where the blessed and safe invests its vitality and light, which he causes to flow and shine on them in order to animate them. So I mean, the divine life force is garbed in many garments, so not to be revealed. This concealment involves not only in the multitudinous or profusions of the garments, a quantitative manner of concealment, but a qualitative one as well. There's a vast difference between the insubstantial garments that conceal the vitality in the higher worlds, and the much denser garments necessary to conceal the godly vitality to the degree that creation of the physical become possible. So whereby really the vast quantity of earth, ethereal garments, divine life force would not only be capable of creating spiritual beings, but not physical ones. In order for the physical world to be corporal creatures, to be created, a much denser garment is necessary. It is thus the Alter Rebbe now goes on to explain what ultimately how this physical world comes into being. The garments wherein the Blessed Ein Sof invests and conceals the light and vitality are so strong and powerful. I mean, the garments are not only numerous in quantity, but also in such a type that the ability to conceal is greater than that of the ordinary garments. Until thereby the life force and the light is created, this world that is mamish corporal and physical. And God creates and animates it by the vitality and light which draws down and shines forth onto it. This illuminate is the light that is clothed, hidden, and concealed within the numerous powerful garments which hide and conceal the light and vitality. Until what happens is you don't see the light anymore. You don't see the vitality anymore. We don't see our own energy. We don't see our own life force. Sad situation. We cannot see what gives us life. We only see physicality. That's the only thing we can see. Mason, and these things are like lifeless, truly lifeless. Gazing on the corporal things, such as the physical orb of the earth, can cause a person to imagine them as utterly lifeless, totally devoid of any spiritual vitality. But the truth is, yet in their midst, as they look like dead, they have constantly a light and vitality that constantly creates them. From nothing to something. Tomid, constantly. That they shouldn't turn to nothing as before. That's the true life. Creation ex nihilo must be constant. That we learn in Chassidus many times. The fact that the world and its creatures were already once created during the 6th day of creation is not suffice. Rather, there must be a constant renewal of creation from its source every second of the day. Thus, the godly light and the vitality that is responsible for creation is constantly found within the created being, albeit in a concealed fashion. So as God is hidden, he's revealed. There's no hiddenness to God. The hiddenness is the greatest concept to be able to be a physical world. But to God, there's no concept of hidden or revealed. And this light comes to the blessed Eir and Seif. It clothed itself in many garments. As brought in the Kabbalah, that the vitality of this physical orb, the earth, which we look at with our physical eyes, when you look at the world, you're really looking at Malchus, the Malchus of the world of Asiya. When you're looking at the world, when I'm looking at the world, what I'm really looking at is its spiritual energy that comes from the world of Malchus, of the world of Malchus, of the world of Asiya. Malchus of the world of Asiya is the lowest sphere in the world of Asiya, the lowest of the four worlds. Malchus itself is composed of the all 10 spheres, the lowest of which is Malchus. Thus, Malchus of the world of Asiya represents in the lowest degree of the lowest level of Asiya. So really, when you look at the world, you're looking at its energy, at its life force, with its Malchus of the world of Asiya. And what is Malchus of the world of Asiya? The world of action. What is the kingship of the world of action? Malchus of the world of action comes from Malchus of the world of emotion, of Yetzirah, the world of formation. And ultimately, where does Malchus of the world of formation come from? It comes from Malchus of the world of creation. And where does Malchus of the world of creation come from? It comes from Malchus of the world of emanation. And where does Malchus of the world of emanation come from? It comes from all the spheres of the world of emanation, which comes from Chachma of the world of emanation. And where does Chachma of the world of emanation, the world of Tzilus come from? It comes from Eir Ein Sof Baruch Hu. So ultimately, Eir Ein Sof is in the world of Asiya. And it contains in the Malchus, in the next world, the world of Yetzirah, the world of formation, and so on. And with the Malchus of Yetzirah in return is contained the world of Bria, and so on. So that in all of them, within all the levels of Malchus of all worlds, include the level of Malchus Asiya, we contain the 10 spheres of the loftiest world of the world of Atzilus, which is all united, which is all united, b'matzilam, in their emanator. What's the emanator of all these worlds? Is Ein Sof, Eir Ein Sof Baruch, infinite light of God. Thus, the physical orb of the earth contains godly light and vitality. We might not see it, but that's what it is. This results from the light passing through the spheres of various worlds, the spheres being the godliness of each world, as well as through the numerous powerful, dense garments that serves to conceal this vitality. The difference between the higher and lower worlds will be understood accordingly. Divine light and the life force revealed to a greater extent in the higher worlds than the lower worlds. And within the physical world, the light and life force is completely concealed. However, this is the case in relation to the illumination of godliness. With regard to the core and the essence of Eir Ein Sof, there truly exists no difference between the Atzilus and the world of action. He is equally concealed, because by the Eibishter, by God, God is equally concealed in the world of Atzilus, like he concealed in the world, in this world. Because this world and the most highest and loftiest world is still a created concept in the aspect of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who is infinite, who is unlimited, he's a creator, not a creation. Whoa! And here we finish the 21st chapter of Tanya. Today, my friends, is the 25th day of the month. And the Tillim of the day is half of chapter 119. If you do the first part of the chapter 119, from the beginning of the chapter to the letter Mem, you'll do the chitas. You'll do the chitas of the day. Today, the Rebbe writes in the Hayoim Yoim, day to day, the Rebbe writes amongst the Alter Rebbe's Maimorim discourses. In the year 1795 in Lyozna, he said as follows. We say in Pirkei Avos, Schar mitzvah, mitzvah. The reward of a mitzvah is a mitzvah. The mitzvah, in its ultimate essence, state is the reward. We should realize that the mitzvah itself is its greatest reward because it's the ratzon and the wisdom of God. So what can there be a better reward than to connect to the ratzon and the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? The problem is, we don't see the revelation. That's the problem. We do the mitzvah, we connect to the essence of God, but we don't see its revelation. We don't see its revelation. The revelation of this essence will take place in the time to come. That its true revelation will be when Mashiach comes. This is the enduring principle of the mitzvah. That's it. That's why. That's the beauty of the mitzvah. That's why Yidden Kol Yisrael Yeshlam Chelik Lo'ilam Haba. The Mishnah says every Jew will merit to the world to come because we're full of mitzvahs like a pomegranate, and therefore will merit to the essence of the mitzvah, which Hashem, Mashiach comes. However, man also eats from the fruits in this world. Each mitzvah, according to its particular nature, meaning when man has a particular need, he is answered. You should realize the Eibush does expression in Yiddish. The Eibush Bleitnish came Bal Choiv. That means that God repays everybody for every mitzvah they did in this world. The real reward, schar mitzvah is mitzvah. It's not the real reward. Is not in this world. That's the dividends. That's the interest that we received in this world. The Eibush gives us long life and happiness and joy and health and everything that else we get in this world is through the mitzvah we do. But the real reward, the schar mitzvah, real reward, is the mitzvah itself, and that will be revealed in the world to come. My friends, I want to wish you all a wonderful Shabbos. I hope that tomorrow you will learn chitas by yourself. And tomorrow is Shabbos Mavarchim. It's Shabbos, you bless the new month, the month of Sivan. It's also Shabbos Chazak. We end the book of Vayikra, Leviticus, and we say Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazek. I hope and I pray that as we scream out on Shabbos and Shul, we say Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazek, that may we go from strength to strength. May we also go, when we learn Torah together, Ein Oiz Ela Torah, by learning Torah together, we bring strength to the world, we bring strength to each other. And Amit Shem will come together on Sunday, 8 o'clock. We'll start a new book, the book of Bamidbar, the book of Numbers, as it's called in English. We'll start the 4th book of the Torah. I wish you all a wonderful, beautiful Shabbos, a Shabbos of blessings, and a Shabbos of strength. God bless you all. Hope to see you on Shabbos and Amit Shem on Sunday at 8 a.m. Have a wonderful and beautiful Shabbos.